And we are recording on Sunday, June 29th, 2025 at 2:11 p.m. Eastern time with Mr. Ron MacLachlan, who I got in touch with you through Baz and talking about well, really the most basic, I would imagine, funding police and not allowing the outright standing down because I mean, in my totally unexpert opinion, nature abhors a vacuum, be it human history or be it biology writ large. If you defund one of them, okay, I mean, you can do that. There will be other power that will fill the vacuum, and it might be armed citizens, it might be militias. There is never not a power. All authority trickles down from violence. It's just what it is. It's not an America thing. That's a Homo sapien thing. And we're just talking about in Portland, Maine, how yeah, I like it. They don't put up with any shit here. But Ron, introduce yourself. Tell everyone what exactly it is you're doing.
Hey everybody, hey Tommy. My name is Ron MacLachlan, and in 2015, I started an organization called Pro Police Rally Colorado in Denver, Colorado, which is a very sanctuary city, to say the
Yeah.
least. And I put up the state's first Law Enforcement Appreciation Day in July of 2015. And since then, I put up events every year. I put up over 35 events between two different states different areas, but not all just in Denver, of course. You've got Casper, Wyoming to Grand Junction, Pueblo, Colorado Springs, Castle Rock, just to name a few. And I'm not really a cheerleader. I do believe that everything from the Vatican to mom and pop's, laundromat needs a checkup from the neck up consistently in order to grow and progress and and do the best you can at whatever it is you're doing. So, but you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater if you find something you don't care for.
Correct.
And you're right about talking about there's a balance. Nature has a natural balance. And when it comes to our law enforcement, we have something that many people don't realize. We have the strongest municipalities ever on the planet anywhere. We are the United States of America. We're not America. And so part of our militia, as you mentioned, for our each city and each county is our law enforcement. They're supposed to be governed by us working with them and the governance up within that community. And the police, you've got a city council, and you got a mayor. And when it comes to your local sheriff, predominantly they're voted in as an elected official, which are they're bound constitutionally. All law enforcement is supposed to be bound constitutionally. You get your city councils, you get your mayors in there, you kind of have an issue. And what I mean by strength and power, your local power is more powerful than the federal government.
Hmm.
It just is. I mean, if you've ever taken the time to take a look at our Constitution, the way it's built up, it is about checks and balances. They do want us to govern ourselves. They don't want King George in that situation when our founding fathers put up this documentation. And when you talk about blue-haired people and who cares what color your hair is,
I don't.
you
I'm
know?
I'm using it flippantly, but no, I don't. I don't care. I don't. I actually don't have a problem with any of that. I really don't care. Identify
my
as it. Go for it. I don't care. You're an adult. Go for it.
my daughter has some really cool looking colored hair
Yeah,
growing
go
up,
for it.
you
My
know.
no, it's a catch-all term, but more of like you want to identify as this, that, the other, go for it. Well, not my cup of tea, go for it. The issue is when it turns into a very real issue
Uh-huh.
of the summer of love, where you're doing billions of dollars of property damage and killing people. Then it's no longer, it's not who you are, what you identify with, or who your partner is. No one truly cares about that. And the people that try to paint it as that are doing it they're doing it nefariously to paint opposition to anything anyone's doing as they don't like my sexuality. They want women back in the kitchen. That's not the case. Everyone I know, the most conservative people I know, they don't care what you do in your own. Go for it. The problem is when you're putting barricades in the middle of intersections and burning and lighting cars on fire on the highway. That's an issue.
It is. And if you're really in our generation, just going back, let's say the last 10, 15, whatever years, go back to Trayvon Martin and, gosh, Eric Holder, Barack Obama. the rise of Black Lives Matter. All that is designed to get to where they're at right now. It's called the Hegelian dialectic.
Hmm.
And how that works is, I mean, you see a situation that you want to control. You become a victim of that situation that you want to control. You get a whole bunch of people that really feel bad about you being the victim of whatever that situation is. And then you become the solution to that situation. And now you control that situation, which goes into what you're talking about defunding. I mean, the amount of money right now that's being funded elsewhere, not just for the immigrants or illegal immigrants, people who are being bussed into our country over the last 4 years. Look at the money in Los Angeles that's gone to people from Black Lives Matter to control the law enforcement community out there or to have a gigantic say in that law enforcement. So, I mean, how often and how long can we be bullied? And how deep does that actually go into our system? That's the fundamental change. Why do you think Loretta Lynch came in off the bench? Well, that's because of Rwanda. Her relationship she had in the what's that place called? The United Nations. And now when you go to the United Nations, they only listen to one. They don't listen to your local municipalities, not your House, Senate, or Congress, not our. They're under Sharia law, but they don't even listen to our courts, our Supreme Court, just the executive branch. Which is why when she came in, you had a lot going on with bringing in different places from United Nations to try to teach and train our law enforcement. The idea of taking over your law enforcement community is so that you can rearrange your strengths of your municipalities, of your state government, because you are now compromising your state's constitution because you're taking away the strengths. And once that happens, as a domino effect, you're now putting our constitution in peril. And do you think that if they rewrote our constitution, that we'd get all the rights that we have right now?
Oh, I'm sure it'd be perfect. And if not bad, I'm sure straight white men with blue eyes like me would notice no difference before and after.
So when do you become the minority?
Well, there you go. It's,
um,
what I was going to say is it is the Hegelian dialectic. And some people say, no, we don't want a new police force. What we want is no police. I don't doubt that the people who say that mean that. I don't doubt that. In the same way, when you ask a 6-year-old, well, why are you brushing your teeth? And they go, well, I don't want Santa to think I'm bad. I don't doubt that they believe that. I
mhm.
know it's not true. I don't doubt they believe that. And if they do believe it, then they're not, read in on the game, which is, Santa's not real. So if someone says, I want to remove, we want to do this, no police, I don't doubt that they truly mean that. A quick cursory glance at any level of history in any country over any century says if you're part of that revolution, but you don't think that a new power is coming in, you are going to be put up against the wall after the revolution because you're shown to be malleable and useful as a tool. You're going to be shot in the head first. That's always what happens. So I don't doubt that some people go, oh, we don't want a new police force. I don't doubt that. There are more intelligent and more nefarious people behind you who are using you to destabilize this, and then a new power comes in. You might have some Mad Max scenario in a more realistic way in 2025 United States, barring an EMP or an asteroid strike. What you would have is a federal police force come in,
Right.
which is controlled by a much smaller group of people in a
That's
much
control.
more distant land.
The federal police force, which Nancy Pelosi was a big advocate of that when she started putting federal police, DC police, because that's federal police, and they're all over our country when she had the opportunity to do that at various different airports. That's controlled by her, the
Correct.
Speaker of the House.
And that is that is best case.
Diabolical.
Well, that is best case scenario for the power
Mhm.
that's going to come in after. Worst case, you're going to have local people rise up. And you know what? Maybe they happen to recognize me from the gym or something and they like me. Maybe they don't. They're not wearing body cams. There's not a local government. They're a militia. And you know what? They might be a lot fucking worse than the cops. You might be in 5 years be going, man, I wish those cops that just occasionally beat somebody a little too much because there might be a bunch of there's a new and guess who are the weapons holders? Probably a bunch of people that don't look like you. So if you're saying, white men are evil, if a militia arises, who do you think they look like? They look like me from the mountains or from South Georgia. You're going to be begging for the old police force. And you can say, well, then there's always a force. That's not an American thing. That is a human thing. It's just what it is. We also walk on two legs and the sun comes up and then the sun goes down. There are some things that just are, regardless if you like it or don't like it. They just are. Best case scenario, you'll have a federal police with some sort of official air about it. Much more likely, you're going to have whoever has the most guns nearby, and Bill and his buddies, they're the new militia. And hey, you might strike gold. They might be good guys. They might not be doing checkpoints and shaking you down. But in any place where civil order and the social structure falls, take any country in the Middle East right now, what is the first thing that happens? Checkpoints. This is the first thing
Hmm.
that checkpoints and territories. That's the first thing that happens. And you're gonna go, well, they beat my friend to death because he didn't give him a granola bar. Yeah, it's because power arose. It's what it is. So you are either naive and a foot soldier, and hey, I have empathy for that. If you don't know what's going on, you need to become aware, or you are competent and aware of what you're doing and you're a demon from hell and you want power exercised over others. There's no scenario in which there's not a source of power. It's just, it's what it is. It's not a patriarchy thing. It's not a racist thing. It's a power thing. The
Have
first guy
you
that got the big club, guess what? That caveman ran the block. He ran the
have
block.
have you ever
What
met
it is.
guys from militias? You ever hung out with any of them?
No, I've had on a bunch of guys like Baz, though, a bunch of special forces and tier one guys, and they
Boz
all
is Boz is incredible. What a great guy.
I know, and
Yeah.
I know a lot of guys like that. You know what's very lucky for me? They like me and they like my show. I would fucking hate to be on the end of, I don't know, their dislike.
Well, I've gotten a chance over the years because of all the different events. We're going 35 events in the last 10 years and all over this portion of the United States. And I've met a lot of militia guys, and there's some really, really neat guys
Oh, oh yeah.
that have spoken at my stage. I mean, Boz was there in 20 to speak. Hope to see him. He's planning on being here in 25 to speak, the one in Denver. There's a lot to do to get that one finished out because of the situation with the city. I'm not exactly their favorite person in the world, but we're going to figure it out. But Boz is incredible. I know guys that do what he does on different levels. I've met with guys. I went to I got a chance to go with gosh, who were those guys? Three percenters, I think it was. And I got a chance to go out into the middle of the desert and hang out for a day. They wanted me to come and speak with some of the guys, and they were doing a weekend.
Sure.
And we were doing this process where we're going through how to go through a house and with live ammo, where
Hmm.
you had pop-ups going back and forth. That was pretty amazing to run
Yeah.
through and work with these guys on how they would go through a house.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
good people.
and again, a lot of those guys like me because they look like me. I've had them on the show. We tend to lean the same way politically, spiritually, ideologically. That's
Mhm.
all well and good. They might be a really good militia. They might not be. And unlike the
You
current
never know.
form where you can go and get a badge number, you can request body cam evidence. You
Hmm.
you get a ticket with a carbon copy and it has the pin on it, and you're going to go to this date, and it's for all of the flaws, and the world has flaws, and that's why we improve them and move forward from the caves to the starship. The thing that comes after might not be as good for you. And you might have a legitimate gripe. These guys shook me down. I didn't have a gun, but they yelled gun and they shot my dad. That might just be the power structure. And you go, who do I complain to? And they go, nobody. You hope they take you in as one of their own foot soldiers. Best case, you can be exiled. It's just what it is. And what we have now is the best setup. It's just as far as it is from, as Eisenhower said, the society we have painstakingly built over millennia. I always use this example. I just went to the grocery store before this podcast. Went and got a bag of chicken, and I got some broccoli, and I got an energy drink. And I went in there, and there wasn't a bunch of guys with M60s and sandbags outside. I went in,
Hmm.
and all the shelves are stocked. It's not MREs. And then when I got to the edge, it wasn't me and my guys with guns looking down at them and their guys with guns. And I go forward and put the suitcase of cash forward, and they count that it's all there. And we have a shaky standoff, and then we leave with the goods, and they got their goods. No, I walk in, I go to a self-check kiosk, and I swipe a piece of plastic. This is the most evolved form of power. It's imperfect, of course it is. But to think you're just gonna throw this out and that we won't revert to the animals that we are is retarded. And it,
Well, I think we're quite. I understand what you're saying. I believe
yeah.
we're quite a ways away from that
No,
scenario
no,
or
I
coming
know
to.
that. I'm walking it
Um,
out to the nth degree. What happens after a year? What happens after 2 years? What happens after five? If we're talking about dissolving the current power structure, it might
which
not
is
go there immediately, but there's
no,
really no mechanism for it to go back. So it
well,
might slide after
it
10 years. It might slide
it.
after 20 years.
I think it really boils down to the paste has gotten out of the tube. How do you guide the paste? You
Yeah.
know, right now in our society, it's uh, the men and women that we have in law enforcement. I've met some incredible
Oh
people.
yeah.
I mean, just flat out incredible people. Is everybody incredible that puts on a
No.
badge? Of course not. Is everybody incredible that goes to church on Sunday? Are they really living?
Is every doctor incredible? Is every, yeah, you can, yeah, it
No,
runs the gamut.
no, it doesn't work that. But there are some, and the structure in which we do have, I think, is really very solid. It's how it's run. The men and women that I've met, especially when it comes to the rank and file, they get involved in this. They have a big heart, and what they really and
Sure. They
they have
want
an
to
under,
protect their communities.
that's something that's a cherishable place to be. You cherish that within your community. You don't destroy it.
And what
Uh,
happens when the people who are drafted to be the new power enforcers didn't want to do this? They're like, I had a good job, but now we're in a, you know, now I have to go. They might be a little grumpy. They might not be the nicest guys. They might not want to be doing this. It's going nowhere good. And but the reality is it won't do what you and I are talking about. It's not going to slide to local militias. It's going to very, very quickly, in under 12 months, you would go from dissolution of police to the creation of federal police. It would happen
well,
extremely quickly.
and if that were to happen, which the United Nations would be a big part of that, actually,
Of course.
because they take their only from the executive branch, and in which they would take their orders. We're not going to have that in the current administration. We could have very easily gone that road had the current administration never been in office.
Correct.
Had you gone with Hillary and Loretta Lynch and what they were doing at that time, and then to go into that, they would have probably kept her there for a couple of seasons, and Biden would have never gotten in because he doesn't have the brain power to get it. But they would have shot us down such a rabbit hole that we'd have been in the abyss. I believe in a heartbeat.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now with Trump in office, it changes a lot because he puts America first. He puts us first. You know, he just does. He's a builder. You know, I've always thought of him as a blue collar guy living in a white, raised by in a white and living in a white collar world. He's a builder. He starts from ground up. He gets a good foundation. He continues to build. He's that kind of guy. I wish he could have gone consecutive branches terms. Look where we would be right now. Of course, who knows what would happen with whoever came in afterwards, or maybe it's a good thing he did do a hopscotch.
I I've
I don't know.
I've
Uh,
stopped. I'm 34 and I've already reached the point of just full. I'm like, God, whatever's happening, God wanted it to happen this way. And I'm just gonna shut up. It's like,
I get, I,
keep,
it's,
keep. We got to keep working hard. It's not gonna do it, but it's the quote: "You got to row, but God will guide." You still got to work, but I'm at a point where I'm like, hey, it was supposed to happen. Whatever, man.
oh, I think he's got one heck of a sense of humor. I mean,
Oh yeah. Oh
I have
yeah.
my plans. I write them all out. I go for it. And then all of a sudden, for God, this is on God's time.
Yeah. God's like,
Oh,
what do you? God's like, what?
he,
God's like a cat. He comes up and just looks at you, and you look at him. You're like, don't do it. And he just pushes the coffee mug off the table. You're like, you fucker.
no, he's without. Without God, I wouldn't be here.
No,
There's
same. No, 100%.
there's no way. Now that journey is I personal and everything for me in my life.
Yeah.
Um, but when it comes to the guys and the gals in our law enforcement community, how do we help them now? In Denver last year, $14 million was taken out of the overall budget for all of the first responders. So you're crippling everybody to take care of people coming in off of out of nowhere, bust in, from all over the country coming in from the border. They were just dumped inside of Denver. In April, the what was remaining for the psychological help that they get, someone to talk to. I mean, you really can't unsee what you see out there. We are human beings. You do have to bring this back to your family, to your home, and your life.
Absolutely.
Don't you want to have someone you can talk to sometimes?
Absolutely. There's a reason why I've had on and I've read a ton of books. There's a reason why, like the number one, the units where they don't spare expenses, Dev Gru, Delta, where they have the best thermals and the best Gore-Tex. And there's a reason why another thing they also have
What's
are
that?
multiple psychs for each little unit. That really says something. The group that they spare no expenses, one of the things is psychs to make sure you're on the straight and narrow because
Hmm.
it's not nothing to go out and enact violence.
When I was a kid, I grew up. No, you don't know, but when I was a kid, my father was in the military, and I remember as a child we were being sent to Japan, and I was young. It was during Vietnam, and we're walking through the airport, and my dad has got his blues on. At that point, he was out. He was in the Air Force. He went Navy, then Air Force. He's our Air Force at this point, and he stopped at the airport to tie his shoe. And I looked up and I saw this guy, ragamuffin looking guy. He was looking at my father, my mother, my brothers, my sisters were there. And he had such hate for my father. As a child, you could just feel it. And I mean, I remember this when I first started this back in 2015. Something stirred that memory and brought it back up. And I looked at my dad and looked at this guy. My dad gets up, gets done tying his shoe, and grabs my mom and the kids, and we go off. And I just kept staring at this guy, staring at my dad. He was a hippie looking guy, that's just the time frame of that kind of stuff. How did we get to that in our society now with the men and women in law enforcement? And I believe it boils down to accountability. Something so simple. We've enabled so much poor behavior out of people. And I, we just have. We haven't made people accountable. And without accountability, you can never grow. You become stagnant. And if you become stagnant, you fall back. And I think in our society, for example, in Denver, to put this event on in Denver, the 11th annual, you got to put up two fences with a 12-foot gap
Yeah.
around the amphitheater, so people can come in and basically be in a box, so people on the outside can scream and yell and pitch a fit. You don't need to get a permit if you want to torch the village. You don't need to get a permit if you're going to, I don't know, burn down Johnny and Mary's coffee shop and take out Joey's windshield with a brick or harm other people, and you get to just pitch a fit and go home. In Denver, you get to do that. You get to go home and there's no repercussion. They might, if they need to, they might pull you in, but they just let you out the back door. In order to go ahead and say thank you, though, that gets expensive. So now what used to just be a simple afternoon in the park, and we're talking your basic build up to do something, is a $10,000 drop on top of just for the fence. If you want to go ahead and say thank you to the men and women in law enforcement, they're making it that much more difficult to stand up for our country and for each other. Now, how do you go from that to where you can throw a party out in the middle of nowhere and it's going to justify, I don't know, the gay parades and the uh, getting high and those things? Nobody has to put a double fence up because guys like us don't go out and throw bricks at people because okay, maybe we don't want to do LGBTQ, whatever. Maybe we don't want to be involved with spending your day and just getting baked. Maybe we have other things to do with our day. But hey, that's your life. You're going to live your life, whatever, go do your thing. Just how does that work? How do you see how that works?
Well, the way I look at it is we were just talking about, Hegelian dialectic, destabilize, bring in the new power force, then you'll have multiple different options and a spectrum of the power that will come thereafter. What you also have is the flip side. What you also have is somebody like me, more conservative leaning, aside from, maybe when I was a teenager, kind of been more conservative my whole life. You have someone like me that 5 years ago, if I were to see some form of police brutality or National Guard use, I'd be like, you got to curtail that. I'd be like, these are the threats to our democracy and our Constitution. What you have is you have a bunch of people that I would like to think are reasonable. It could just be my own bias, like myself, who are we're not cheering on the jackboot. But when you see so many years of this, and then you see something like LA, and then Trump throws in the Marines, you have a bunch of people that normally most of their lives might have been like, this is federal overreach. You have
Hmm.
exhaustion of where people go, yeah, don't kick their fucking heads in. I'm so tired of this shit. And you see that. And there is and so it and that it's not excused. But you can see where that starts happening on the other. So it's either you win and you defund them, and then you get a new power source in that will fill the vacuum, or you have the whiplash before it goes all the way over. And you have a bunch of people that are like, you know what? I don't care. You know what? You're blocking an intersection. You're doing a intersection shutdown, whatever it's called. You know what? Normally I would say that's freedom of assembly. Now I'm just straight up like tear gas him. I don't care. Because you reach a point of exhaustion where you go, I don't care, dude. Because everything you're saying, you go, you know what? I've never once shown up to a gay pride rally screaming. I've never so much as said something on the internet of like, I don't, if I'm not for something, it's in the privacy of my own thoughts.
Yeah.
What you do is you're going to have people who were reasonable and they're only, and you could say that that's also part of the Hegelian dialectic of where they're now going, you know what? Trump makes a federal police force to go bash these people's heads in. I might be for it. That too is a problem because now you're getting the
And I
same
don't.
federal police. But that you're my. I'm not saying that's what will happen. I'm walking them both out to the nth degree. It's a car that's starting to wobble. It's going 130 miles an hour. With each successive wobble, you're overcorrecting more and more and more.
But
It ends with a tree or a barrel roll.
did you notice in 20? I think it was Portland or Seattle. I don't remember which one it was. I think they had the Chaz thing that was all
Yeah, that
set up.
was that was Portland.
That was Portland, and then Trump sent in a bunch of troops.
Yeah.
And you notice they were all dressed, ready for action. These guys and these gals were like, they're not going to take anything. Uh, not going to take. They're not going to take no for an answer for what they were there to do. But you also notice that the mayor at that time did not want them in the city. So
Correct.
what were they forced to do? Protect the federal buildings.
Hmm.
They couldn't do anything but protect the federal buildings and stand there while the police stations torched right across the street. That's how powerful your local municipalities are.
Correct.
Now, the power, the federal government, they would like to have that power. They don't want checks and balances. So you have to take over law enforcement to own law enforcement to create the forces in which you're talking about. And you do that by splitting and dividing so you can conquer. So now all of a sudden you're not a people. We're not we the people. It's either demographic. Okay, blonde hair, blue eyed guys are on one side, brown haired guys are on the other. Now you've got race. What is race? Realistically, one race, human race. Now there are all kinds of cultures. They come in every shape, size, and color, but there's only one race. So how do you go from prejudice, which is based in, ignorance and fear? How do you go from that all the way over to complete absolute hate? Do you think we really made that jump for a complete demographic? I don't think so. That's like going from Pop Warner football to the NFL. I think it's more propaganda to split, divide, and conquer. So now you've got people categorized. Okay, are you gay or straight? Are you Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, agnostic, whatever? Are you a Patriots fan or a Chiefs fan or a Oakland Raider or I guess Las Vegas Raiders fan? Whatever. Who cares? Who really cares? I mean, you wake up in the morning and you start your day. Everybody starts their day the same way. And we all have a lot of things in common. We need to find the common and stop. And we're all unique. You're as unique as a human being could possibly be, and so is your neighbor, and so is a person you saw at the market today when you're getting your rocket fuel. and paying with your card. Everybody's unique, but we have a lot of things in common. And people come to this country not because of the beaches, not because of the cheese. They come here because they have an opportunity, because of our Constitution, a better opportunity on our soil to live out their dreams, in which they do from wherever they came from. And some of those situations they come from are horrible situations, but it doesn't mean you cross illegally. We have Ellis Island. We have ports of entries. If our ports of entries are not working properly, fix them, and then acclimate properly into a society. But they're not. We're not doing that. What we're doing, we're flooding political gates. So if you got a person coming in from the south, and by the way, don't forget about the north. Nobody talks about the north. But you know what's been going on up there for the last 10 years? Do you have any idea?
Aren't
Just
you?
what's that?
Aren't there pretty? I don't know if it's a number, but I know in quantity per don't they have pretty big drug runners because you can just kind of like run through the woods, right?
It's a bit more complicated, or
I know
much
it.
more
I know it.
dire than that.
I know
Just
it is, but it's because there's less people watching than say it's easier. I would imagine objectively easier than
well,
just line of sight. I mean, in the south it's just all fucking dirt, and up north there's wooded. You have it at least a shot.
it's seasonal too. I mean,
Yeah,
we have it's you don't really want to do this in January. I mean, I
yeah,
live in Wyoming. Trust me,
yeah.
you don't want to do that in January.
And that is why I love New England is because there's half the year it's you can't start shit up here. You'll die.
But you know that between basically the state of Washington and Michigan, just above the northern border, across that, Barack Obama, when he was in office, put 150,000 Syrian refugees up there. He planted them up there. Nobody ever talks about what's going on well, there's a lot going on in Canada. Just above Vancouver, there's an island that was, there used to be a pretty, I can't think of the name of it, pretty good sized island. It's had Chinese occupied there for 8 years. Tourists can't go in there. When Trudeau was asked about it years ago, he said, "Oh, they're here to protect their own interests," as if he doesn't have his own mounted police. Nobody talks about the 99-year lease that China got in the Bahamas for the island to put a military base up over there. I mean, you start strategically mapping out what you want to do. Now, I'm not saying these people are going to come and jump down, and next thing you know, we're in the middle of World War III on our soil. I mean,
Am I right?
but you you have to take a look at what's out there, and be prepared for whatever you can be. But you hope for the best. You work for the best, and hopefully things don't never go down that kind of road. But there's so many different elements that come across taking this country, and there's several reasons why. One, this country could take care of the planet. We have enough resources to feed the world without an issue. We could do that here. We have enough resources to fuel the world, and we just do. We don't tap into all of them, but we have these things. So this is basically the Garden of Eden of this planet, and I believe that. And,
I
and
know
I,
I fully do. The fact that it's the Garden of Eden, so full of stuff protected by oceans, and it happens to be the place where freedom of speech and freedom to bear arms arose. That was a roll of the dice that will never happen again.
Power likes power, and as it gets amped up, they say ultimate power corrupts ultimately. I don't think they're wrong. A person doesn't want to give up the power. And what good does it do for a person to inherit the world but lose his soul? At what price? There's so much more to life. The gift will always be in the giving, and the journey will always be, the joy. That's really how our system works. And yet we don't teach that anymore. Accountability is the beginning of growth. There isn't anything that's put out there that we can't overcome. All we got to do is, put it in God's hands, believe, and go forward. And you can, and in this country, if you're willing to roll up your sleeves and go to work today, and then daisy chain in tomorrow, the next day, the day after that, and continue down that road, you can accomplish anything you really want to. Can't always do that in other places, which is the biggest catalyst why people come here. And the people of power, they want more power. I mean, how many steaks can you eat in a day? You know, I mean, come on, man. At the same time, if it's yours, you earned it, it's yours. There's plenty. Everybody else, go earn your own. You don't need to take from somebody else what they've earned. That's not right either. You have the opportunity. Why do you think people come from other countries and do so well? Because they don't have a 7-Eleven around the corner at 3 o'clock in the morning to get some milk. They don't have a medical facility right down the street in case someone's been into an accident. Heck, they may not even get a chance to take a hot shower without boiling up their water and doing a sponge bath. And they have floors made of dirt in some of these places, but they have dreams, they have goals, they have wishes, and they got the internet now. Oh my gosh, I can do that. How do I get there? And I can't do it here, so now I have to go where I can get there to go do it. And that's a big magnet that we have here, which is also a big responsibility of us as a people. We have to work together. We can't be I the demographic. It's got to be we the people. And the only way we're ever going to have everything working on a very solid ground is if we the people stop seeing I the demographic, start seeing each other as brothers and sisters living in this country with the most incredible opportunities possible. And when people come in, they have to be accountable. That's that simple. And we can't enable our children. Look at what's going on in Denver. We've enabled such poor behavior for so long. Look what goes on in that city. The crime rate in there is ridiculous. Could you imagine being a law enforcement officer in that town?
Mm-mm.
I can't even fathom what those people go through each and every single day, and then to be ripped apart and torn down, and having management of a city. They call themselves leadership. I don't see leadership there. I call it management. Um, they rip more and more away from these guys, and it's not just law enforcement. It's your fire departments. It's your EMTs. It's all your first responders. You're back now. We're back to the Hegelian dialectic. How do we have control? And how do we dismantle the fastest way to dismantle our Constitution and become America instead of the United States of America is to take out the municipalities for the checks and balances. And that's why you get this argument, and it's been going on now for quite some time.
Well, no, it makes it makes perfect sense if you paint America for what it is, land of opportunity, land of resources, the Constitution, protected by ocean. I mean, it is Eden. When you look at that and you go, okay, so then, what is the conclusion? The conclusion is the Garden of Eden. Okay, and what do you do with it? You defend the Garden of Eden at all costs. Okay, so observation, conclusion, and then, well, how do you go about it? Well, then you have to look at the ways in which how would you protect it? And you can find the weak spots, and they're actually pretty apparent. It's municipalities, it's local police forces. You start to pull the Jenga blocks out, it very quickly starts to get crippled.
Correct. And
And
once those jangles, all those Legos and jangles drop, now you got to rebuild it. Correct.
yeah, and I
And
hope it gets rebuilt the same way, but it probably won't because they didn't fall by accident. They were pulled apart by people with a very specific goal.
correct. I
So,
mean, look at the war on souls right now. It's not like the old days. I mean, I'm older than you by, you said you're what, 34?
yeah,
That was a long time ago for me.
yeah.
um, but it's when I was at your age, and that's going back a couple of decades. I'm 61. So when you go back quite a ways when I was 34, yeah, there's good and evil going on. There's always been good and evil. That argument's never stopped. But evil was somewhat in check back then. It was in the dark corners. Now it's like Beetlejuice. It's out there on the front pages. Look at our moral divide in which we're doing by crippling our country, by taking away the relationship with Jesus and the Holy Spirit, God, the Trinity. How do you take that relationship and you compromise that? This is all by design. This is evil inside of our society. And if you start to where children, the way they're being, gosh, I mean, the Supreme Court, was it yesterday or Friday? They said that parents can finally opt out of some of the garbage that they're being forced onto their children. Thank God. I mean, could you imagine putting a child through public school right now? I mean, and private school is not inexpensive. And even what are you going to get in a private school? How much homeschooling do you have? It's not just law enforcement that's on their attack. That's just one vein. You have multiple areas that create a balance. Our Constitution is, in so many ways, is based off of the Bible. They work hand in hand, working together from what our inalienable rights are. And if you really start looking at the erosion of this country, it starts at home. So now all of a sudden, okay, Hillary Clinton, what did she write? It takes a village? No, it does not. It takes parents because parents are the village. They just are. Now, Hillary had to write something because she had to justify not wanting to raise, what was her daughter's name? Chelsea? Didn't want to raise Chelsea. She wanted her husband's job. So she needed to have justify having somebody raise her kids so she can pursue her career. And so it takes a village. So that's her justification. People get behind that. And pretty soon, more and more outreach from the government over how our children are raised to different things that they have with HIPAA and how that process works and all the rights being taken away from the parents and given to a 14-year-old child. Did you know a 14-year-old child, because of HIPAA, does not have to tell mommy and daddy about being pregnant?
I did.
Does not have to take any kind of medication they don't want to take? Does not have to go to counseling as if they are the adult at that point because of HIPAA? Try going to a high school and talking to a high school counselor about your daughter being on birth control when she's a young girl and you didn't even know about it. And they have her on this stuff. And talking to some child teaching children. It's like, okay, I'm not, can you mind explaining some of that to me? Oh, no, you're the parent. Sorry, we don't have to talk to you. Oh, okay. But then again, I'm liable in case she doesn't make a mistake, or if my son makes a mistake, I'm liable because I'm the parent. But I have no voice, no choice for my children. That's a lot of stuff that's been going on for 30, 40 years. Did you know that Ritalin, Adderall, Zoloft, Concerta, Citalopram were not allowed to be given to children until Bill Clinton signed that piece of paperwork? Did you know that? And then those became $1 billion pill. I went to court over this stuff. They became $1 billion pill to where you couldn't even do a knockoff for 6 months. In Australia, they banned them. What do they do in Australia? They just renamed. They made the same pill, renamed it, and put it back in. So when you take away the child who's growing, evolving, their brains, they haven't. Your frontal lobe doesn't stop evolving until you're about 28, 29 years old, and that's the consequence lobe. So you start taking that out of a child and so they're still figuring things out. The tool and die is not set, and everybody grows at their own rate.
Mm-hmm.
So what do? Let's fill our children with pills because we want our children to fit inside this box. What is their reality? What does the sand feel like on the bottom of their feet? What does the sunset look like from that perspective? And then all of a sudden that stuff is ripped out of you. And wow, that doesn't feel like sand. What is that? They call that a sunset? That's not the sunset I grew up with because my Zoloft and my Ritalin and my Adderall and all my other things changed all that. So I never got to have that. So now for the last 30, 40 years, we're creating drug addicts because they changed the rules during Obama to where parents had to actually keep their insurance till a child is about 26 years of age so they can keep them on the pharmaceuticals. Now with the pharmaceuticals, now the child who maybe they can't afford to be on some kind of insurance, they can't afford the pharmaceuticals. So what are they doing? They're reaching for what's coming across the border, what's on the streets, because that's their sense of reality. Instead of just taking time to work with our children and guide them. Children don't run away from home; they run to home. And if your child is running to a crack house, you might want to take a look at what's going on in your backyard, in your own house. But that's back to accountability so that we can grow. And there's so many avenues within our society that need our undivided attention. And we're the adults. We're the adults in the room. This is our fault. Can't blame anybody. We allowed this to happen. You get in your Horton Hears a Who bubble and you're living in your little life, and all of a sudden things change. The kids are getting older. They're doing more and more of their own thing. The business is working on its own now. I got time to go fishing. And you pop your head out of that little bubble. It's like, oh my gosh, what happened to the world? Well, it kept evolving, and you weren't part of it because you weren't there because you're so busy taking care of your family and your on your personal world that you weren't involved. And we allowed these things to continue down to the road to where we're at right now. So how do we put it in a position to we're giving back, we're paying it forward, and we're helping out not just the next generation, but the generation after that by giving respect to the generations before us that gave us what we have to work with. That's what's important. I mean, if that's the action plan of doing, and the only way you can do that is people come together, agree to disagree, and from there find a common ground and work from there. And if your common ground is what's in it for the benefit of other people, not what's in it for me, what's in it for the other people? How am I of service to those around us? If we get there, boy, have we got something fun to do. And that's amazing. Guys like Boz, I mean, he puts it on the table all day long to go find these children. He doesn't have to do that, but that's what he chooses to do because that's paying it forward. That's giving to our country. That's giving to our neighbors. And there's something fulfilling in that. It's a lot more fun. That feels a heck of a lot more when you're watching somebody open up a Christmas gift and you connect with them than opening up one for yourself. And our society, we got to stop looking at our own gifts and how can we help these other people? And when we do that, you don't see black, white, yellow, purple, blue, green, all that kind of stuff. You don't see blonde hair, blue eyes, dark hair, dark eyes. You just see human beings. And there, gosh, where do we go from? How wonderful would that be? And I know I went on a tangent there for a minute,
No,
but
no, it's beautiful. Trust me, I've done 1,700 plus, almost 1,800 of these episodes. I know when a tangent's good. I let it run. It's good. No, and it's you map it all out, then it comes back to okay, well then how do you defend it? And I would say, yeah, what the average person can do is your local municipalities. How can the average person help with what you're doing in Colorado?
get involved. Get involved. And even if you live in a nice area where you don't think there's anything going on, get involved anyway. As a matter of fact, one of the things I want to do after this season is over is I want to help teach people how to put up events in their communities. It's not as easy as a person might think, to go down that process. And I don't walk on water. I make plenty of mistakes, but get involved with your community. Go to your school boards. Be really conscious of who you put in your city council. Take a good look at those people. Your local municipalities, those things are huge. Really, and if you believe that you've got a better message or a stronger message, I know it's not easy. And maybe you're not the kind of person who wants to get in front of a camera and all that kind of garbage. I get it very much. But if you got something that's going to help run for office, be a part of the solution. Always be a part of the solution. And you start there. Again, school board meetings, city council meetings, see what's in the best interest for your city. Do you know in Douglas County, when I first started doing events there, they have the most money in the state of Colorado. They also had the highest teenage suicide rate per capita in the state of Colorado.
Whoa.
They they don't have that now as much. They're in the top, echelon, but they have the most money. And when you start looking at those kind of demographics, it's like, okay, how do you help? Well, you've got people that can help the suicide prevention. You got sometimes you like what was just taken out of law enforcement in Denver, someone to talk to. If your family's world is wrapped around that almighty dollar, I got the prettiest spouse, I got the prettiest house, I got the coolest car, and my kids are on the honor roll. Okay, are you actually with your kids, or are you working to make sure you got the prettiest spouse and the prettiest house and the coolest car? And if you got somebody raising your kids, kids don't remember toys, they remember time. And that's something you can't regenerate. So when you have the opportunity to be a parent, be a parent. It's a gift. It's a beautiful gift. Don't throw it away. Not everybody gets to have kids. I've got friends of mine that they tried, and they did get pregnant and it wouldn't sustain, and they're just doing everything they can. They want to be parents, but it wasn't the gift that was given to them. It doesn't mean that they're not incredible, wonderful human beings that have a lot of other things to offer. But if you do get to be a parent, pay attention, do the best you can. There's nothing more fulfilling than listening to your own kids laugh and have a good time while you're, I mean, everything else is stuff. If your why in the day is not your family, I think you've missed the boat. And if you haven't gotten your family yet, well, then whatever that purpose that you're being driven to go do, go do. Life isn't about a 9 to 5. It's supposed to be lived, not just thrown away. And I think we need to live our lives. You say, how can you get involved? Contact me. Let me know where you're at. Let me see if I can help you. You can reach me at propolicerally.com.
I'll put that in the description.
And oh, we're getting close to the end, aren't we?
Yeah, no, but it's. I'm just listening to this. I'm getting jacked up. I want to. I'd vote for you. I know that's not what you're doing, but in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'd vote for you.
uh, I
Run
don't
for
think
something. Why not?
thought about it in the past.
You're already like 98% more polished than than like your ranting is already more polished than like 99% of like political speeches.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah,
This is just off the cop, off the top of the head.
I've had on
Um,
guys running for office that have won office, have not from my show, but I've seen before, and guys literally have gotten into Congress, and they're not as polished as you. So I mean, they did it.
well,
It's a compliment to you. I don't know if it's a backhanded insult to them. I love them; they're all cool guys. But I've seen guys that have. You're just looking at it, and it's like, hey, that guy made it on the varsity team, and I'm telling you, you're better at basketball. You got a better jump shot. It's just what it is. It's can I look at his ass kissing or an insult to them or whatever? Doesn't matter. Outcome's the same. I mean, you're passionate about it. You should think about doing it.
I
I
don't,
don't have to say that. I don't have a gun in my head. I'm the only
I,
employee in this podcast. Nobody's telling me be nice to Ron. I don't. I get.
I
I have whatever compliments or insults I give to people. They are from the heart because it's just me. There is no board of directors here. I say whatever the fuck I want to whoever I want. So I mean it.
well, thank you
Yeah,
very much.
you've got it. You've got the thing. I don't know what it is, but it is.
Well, I don't know what the future holds.
Yeah, who cares, man? Go for it.
It could happen. I was asked to do that when I was living in Denver a few years ago, and the timing for what I saw and where I was going didn't make sense for me at that time. I don't know what the future holds.
Sure.
Perhaps,
Why
you know,
not?
I don't know. We'll see. The I've met a lot of politicians over the years, and some of these guys I think are pretty cool. Some of these guys have great dreams. They really do. I mean, they have a passion, they have dreams, and they really want to get whatever it is they can get done. And I was asking a person that was running for office, gosh, why can't I? Priscilla Ron and I were talking once, and she was a vice chair for the Republican Party in Colorado at one point, and she was speaking at one of my events. A really nice lady, and she'd pulled away from that, and she was then running for office in Douglas County. I don't believe she didn't get hired for that. She didn't win. But I was asking her. I go, this is a big popularity contest, and she said, yeah. I go, well, do you think when do you get past the popularity contest and actually get the person that gets elected, that when the doors are closed and no one's listening and it's just the people in that room that can actually get something done? I mean, when does that person run for office? And how do we know the difference between the popularity person and the person that's going to hold to their guns and get it figured out?
You
How do you
don't
find
know.
that?
The only way you know that truthfully is if you do it yourself.
Yeah.
So that's why, one, I can't afford it, but two, even if I could, there's a reason I don't have anyone working for my pod because I know it would be a waste of their time because all I would do is go through everything they did anyway. Because
Hmm.
it's my podcast, it's my baby, and I'm like, I want to make sure it's done right. Like
What got you? What got you into doing the podcast in the first place?
I'm Irish, I have the gift of gab, and it, very long story short, I graduated college in 2013, got into medical school, decided I didn't want to go. A couple months after that, lost my older brother to suicide, really
Oh,
fucked me up for several years. I was just drinking and drugs and moved home with my parents at age 26 in 2016, lived with them for like 5 years. It was a mixture of like I was kind of going insane. I wanted to move out. I didn't know what I was doing in life and a whole kind of amalgamation of just and I can talk to I've always the airports, buses, I've always just been able to talk to people like what we're doing
mm-hmm.
right now.
Yeah.
You asked me like what is the podcast? I'm like it's just it's this. I was just like and it kind of just right from the get-go it seemed like people received it well. And for better or worse, I have the gift of gab and the crazy work ethic and just been making it up as I go. But it
Well,
seems to me to be what I'm supposed to do. It just never in my life has the shoe fit so well. And it's so many times it's like I have to be the change I want to see. And it's an uncomfortable thing with you. How come no one's talking about that? How come there's no one talking about this? Like I couldn't get like a story about what was going on in Kabul when we were withdrawing. So I literally got on a kid who was there, like a Marine.
yeah.
I was just like, because I was like, no one else is fucking did. And finally, you're like, well, I have a microphone. Like, all right, it's through my
Mm-hmm.
contacts and through degrees of separation, you get to someone, and but that's or like Baz. It's like I have on Baz because I don't see anyone else talking about. There's always all these awareness things and stickers, and I'm like, is there any actual like hardcore special forces guys just going and kicking doors down? And it's like there is, and it's like I don't see
Yeah,
him
there
on a lot
is.
of other shows. And then I'm like, well, then that's like when I first had him on, I was like, it's disappointing that other podcasters don't have him on. And then I was finally like, well, maybe I should slip in like a slot every couple weeks to have Baz on. And it's just you got to be the change you want to see. So the point is how do you know who's getting in there? You don't unless you yourself do it. It's we are the as you said earlier, we are the adults. It's not like when you're a kid, you're like, all right, I'll ask mom and dad, or I'll ask the older kids. At a certain point, you go, oh, it is us. And
Yeah.
there are some great people. Like I've had on Joe Kent before, I think from Washington, former Special Forces guy. His wife was a CIA linguist. She was killed by a suicide bomber in 2019, and he ran for office twice, I think, in Washington, lost both times but then was appointed to be the director of the National Counterterrorism Center by Trump. And so like that's a guy where I've had the gift, the blessing of having him on the show 20, 30 times. I've got to meet him at a fundraiser, I've got to hung out with him, I texted them. That's someone where I go, I know that guy's good. But then it's the average person doesn't have that access to them. So the average person could maybe trust me, but then it's like, well, do you trust me? And should you? You don't know me. I'm telling you, Joe Kent's a great guy. You don't know who's paying me to say that or what biases I have. So there are degrees of where I can go, okay, I didn't run for office, but I know that guy very well and have for 5 years. I know he's a good dude. But that drop off is pretty quick. So to answer your question, how do you know? You either know the person very well directly, which what percentage of elected officials do any of us know well? Zero point
Yeah.
zero zero zero. I'm in a freak case where I have a podcast and I know a guy that knew a guy, or
Mhm.
you do it yourself, and that percentage is even smaller. So
I think,
I don't know. It
and
seems like you're well polished. You already got the speech, man. Just slap it together. What's worse that happens? You lose. All right.
yeah, well,
But
well,
I
we'll
mean, dude,
see. We'll see if that
for
goes.
every episode you see, there are so many guests that told me they're not interested, either politely or impolitely. Eventually you conclude, you go, well, what's the worst that happens? Yeah, they say no. All right.
Hmm.
Hey, so and so, General so and so, former so and so, Mr. So and so, Doctor so and so. Some of them say yes, and it works out cool. Some of them say no. Some of them say fuck off. And you're all right, whatever.
Well,
You go, that kind of sucked. That didn't feel good. But then you grow up and you go, well, all right. Then you move on. You go do
not
the
every,
dishes. Like,
you know, not everybody in the world you meet's gonna like you. It's half of
no,
them.
they
Most
don't. You
that.
don't. You stop feeling bad for yourself and you start going, well, then what do I do? Do I quit? You go, no, that guy was kind of a dick about it. But you sober up and you go, well, no one's owed me an interview. So number one, no one owes me anything. And number two, you go, that guy said no, but I just got an email back from that guy and he said yes. And, and then when you look back over 5 years and 1,779 episodes, and what a surprise, you start to see the hand of God guiding you. Some people, that guy said no, and 3 months later, XYZ happens. You go, thank God. I didn't have that dude on. I mean, I'm for free speech and saying whatever you want, but I mean that guy was, whatever, busted for kiddie porn. You're like, Jesus.
Oh
Okay,
wow.
never mind. Noted. That's never happened. But like
I get the idea.
the idea is that you're like,
Uh-huh.
fuck. Okay, all right. Noted. It really did. Okay, you're like, got it. Noted. So,
Oh, I
you
think
know,
the journey you talked about from your family, your goals, your wishes, your brother, and then being at home and that frustration of building and deciding and growing, all of that, sometimes we get torn down just so we were at a place where we can hear. Because
I now so the podcast is 5 years. I lost my brother 11 years, 11 and a half years, no, 11 years. I now look back in the same way I look at the podcast, you go, oh, I can see God's hand guiding it. And now look back and I go, oh, it wasn't an accident either that I lost someone. I look at
Mhm.
the things the episodes I've done about mental health, the episodes I've done with charities of veterans who like have these things to talk to veterans to get that suicide rate down. Because it's hard for me to talk to a Navy SEAL and be like, I know what you're going through. Like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
I've never left the United States. I have no fucking idea what you're going through. My point is I look at the amount of people I've been able to do good through, and not every show
Mhm.
is serious. A lot of them are just fun and light. And I go, oh, that's what I was supposed to do. And then you go, well, how do you go from graduating college,
Mhm.
magna cum laude, getting into medical school, university? I got in a University of Miami, 15,000 applicants, 100 accepted. I get in, straight A's, super hot girlfriend. What series of events would make go, all right, so you got this picture perfect life ahead of you and you're 23. What I want you to do is crumble it all up, go through unimaginable personal terror, and then on the other side, start a show that even now, 5 years in, is kind of paying rent and lose a lot of friends along the way and,
Mhm.
stick up for free speech. What would make you do? Well, you did, yeah, the events are so chaotic. You go, oh, maybe God, maybe it's well, whom, send me, oh Lord. So my
Well,
point is you might do it and go, yeah, I was on a podcast with a manic Irish guy. He starts screaming about, God's hand. And so anyway, that's why I'm your governor, Denver. Like whatever, it's
I think sometimes the way God works, which I think is amazing because everybody's different,
sure
but it seems like there's a process of being ripped down to your core.
destroying you.
And then the isolation that comes with that,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
because all these relationships and the things that you
Well,
have going on in
those,
your world, those are
tho-
gone.
those are also points of relapse. And not even bad. It could be, hey, halfway through living at home with my parents, if somebody had been like, hey, dude, I got you a 9 to 5 at Office Depot, I would have taken it in a heartbeat because I would have been like, get me the fuck out of living with my parents. But they all go away. No, it's solitude is what's, but I mean, if you really needed to like remodel something, like how would you remodel, I don't know, like this room? Well, I don't know, you tear out the drywall and there's like
Hmm.
levels of remodeling you can do. You can go a little deeper, you get an electrician, take the lights out. What if I want to go really deep? Well, you take the bricks out and then you'd have to knock down the steel girders and the rebar. When what
Uh-huh.
if I needed you to reshape even that? I mean, fuck, you'd melt it, and then you literally have to use thermite, and then what? And then you'd have to rebuild the die, and then you'd have to just leave it. You're like, Jesus, and you go, but if you can do that, you could rebuild forget changing the lights, you could restructure the entire building.
Right.
Well, and that's what I look at. I go, oh, that's what it was.
Yeah. And in that process, so they you ever see that picture of you got the concrete out there and you see this little daisy coming up
Yeah,
uh,
life finds a way. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it feels like that's part of the process when it comes to a calling. And I learned something that if you ever notice how you keep repeating yourself, like for instance, let's say if you wanted to get a different eat something different on the plate, you might want to fish in a different pond, but you keep going to the same pond. You keep getting the same fish, the same meal over and over and over again. Well, I have found that for me, one of the ways that you can get to the other pond is you have to find the silver lining in the pond that you're at.
Hmm.
So it's like sometimes you'll find yourself dating the same person over and over and over again, different name, different face, different, but the situation's the same. And until you understand the beauty of that process, which will open up like the next door to
Mm-hmm.
whatever else is coming in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And if the more of the silver linings that we see in life, the more we get to grow and progress. And when we don't see those, we get stuck. I mean, I was talking to Dr. Michael Scalero. Gosh, this is 30 years ago. He was the number one AIDS research doctor in the world at that time. Actually, Dolph Lundgren was a roommate of his at
Oh
one
wow.
point a long time ago, and I was there to paint his house. so I'm in there painting, and we started talking about AIDS. And I go, I think I know how you could fix it. He goes, really? Okay, brilliant one. Tell me how you think you could fix it. And I went through this scenario about blood cells and growing them and doing this, and he just looked at me. He goes, that's exactly what we're doing. How did you figure this out? I go, I'm just doing common sense stuff. And I go, what do you think the silver lining is going to be to AIDS? And he goes, what's that? I go, if you can cure AIDS, you can cure cancer. You can cure the common cold. You can cure the viruses. And he goes, correct. And I go, so even in such a diabolical situation as something like that, where people are dying because of their actions, they're in this case a lot of times needle users or sexual whatever their actions, and they're trans and they're able at that point just dying by the droves. Back in Hollywood back then, that's what it was. That was horrible. Um, but there's always a silver lining. What's the silver lining? What's going on right now in our society? How do we find that?
Mm. The best, and I've thought about that a lot because you have to find silver linings, or I'm on the top floor, I jump right out of this window. That's the right you have. People ask me why I'm such an optimist. I'm like self-preservation because I will absolutely jump off a building. Um, I would say something like this is, you know, 34. 5 years ago, if you'd asked me about the importance of the First Amendment, I'd roll my eyes in the same way that you asked me, like, who are the founding fathers? I'd be like, yeah, the national bird's an eagle. Will you shut up? Like, I get it, cookie cutter stuff, you know? Now you see what happens when there was a legitimate attempt on free speech with big tech, COVID, all that hysteria.
Mm-hmm.
And then now, that's the reason I'm banned from YouTube and iTunes. That's something to where I imagine is not my grandfather. He couldn't because he had eye issues and asthma issues. But his brother was 18 on D-Day, and you see a guy like that, and to the day they die, they're just kind of fucking tough.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like you don't know for sure, but they kind of drop hints that like there might be a machine gun buried in the backyard or something. But like, and you look at that and you go, what caused that? And it was because they went to the brink, and
Yeah.
that's how you get that sort of hardcore old dude.
They call the stare or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so I imagine like, well, what will it be like in like 50 years? I mean, like, hey, Grandpa's just obsessed with like free speech. He always says, put your podcast on multiple platforms. And I'll be like, well, it did almost go away. It got very close. And there was
Mm-hmm.
no mechanism for it to go backwards. I mean, had they succeeded last summer and blown Trump's head off, it would just the tightening of the Marxist screw would have just got tighter and tighter and so what's the silver
Oh,
lining of this?
that much.
Oh
That
yeah,
much.
yeah. And so I go, what's the silver lining of this? I go, yeah, yeah. Now I'm doing a podcast and I don't just talk about other stuff. I'm also the importance of free speech and the importance of, for me, like having on people I don't agree with because very quickly what happens when you don't agree with someone? Well, it's misinformation, it's medical misinformation, it's hate speech, and very quickly, doof, doof, doof. And then you go, oh, I kind of get where like something like China arises. So what's the silver lining of all this for me personally in my own little field? I'm like, yeah, the importance of letting all ideas fly. And sometimes people will comment this episode, so I can't believe you have this guy on, and I can't believe you have that guy on. But the importance is that you hear these things. You're not supposed to take radical. I get inciting violence, doxing. That's a legal thing. But for me, it's what the silver lining is forced me to open my mind more. I'll have on guys that I don't necessarily agree with. I'll let a guy sit here and till he's red in the face, tell me about how the Jews run the world, and I'll be like, yeah, it's not really my cup of tea, but hey, appreciate your time. Like, and I get to see it, and people are like, I can't believe you platformed them, and I'm like, I'd rather platform someone I don't agree with, or have on someone that says it's not the Jews, it's a whatever. I'd rather have them on and hear what they have to say. And I probably wouldn't be that way if we didn't go through COVID. I think I would probably say it, but I would say it not really meaning it. Like, yeah, free speech is important, then I wouldn't have people on because I'd be like, fuck that guy.
You got to get if you have to, you got to get to a point you can agree to disagree, and you can't get there if you don't have any communication.
And
And
the,
I
the
understand it.
yeah, and the person you have on, they might not agree to disagree. They might really think you're a bad person. You can't control that. What you
No.
can do is go, came on, they're just words. And that's eventually what I always try to tell people. I really can't believe you had that guy. I really can't believe. All right, so like ultimately though, what was it? Like let's break it down to its most real form. What was it?
Hmm.
What was your experience with it? Well, I
Was
had I had Spotify up on my phone and I heard the episode. So it's a there's a rectangle in your hand and it was making noises you didn't like. Did it hurt you? Well, no, eventually I swiped up and I made it go away. Like magic. Like magic.
uh-huh.
The alternative is a totalitarian police state. Hey, fucking hey, you know what? Yeah, you know what? Maybe it's kind of good that I can just see this and be gone.
Yeah,
So
I had a friend of
there's silver
mine.
linings in all of it. And sometimes the silver lining might only be
Hmm.
that I didn't doom and drink and kill myself. It's that I went, you know what? With the grace of God, I'm gonna look for a silver lining. Sometimes that's all the silver lining is hey, I'm gonna look for a silver lining. Sometimes that's all you get out of it. You go, hey, that's pretty cool that that terrible thing happened. And my first thought was, how do I find God's blessing in that? That is a gift right there. Right there.
Yeah,
You might not find a silver lining. The silver lining might be, hey, I looked for one. Instead of immediately down in a bottle of vodka.
you'll be surprised later on in your life. You're 34 now.
Yeah.
Give yourself a good 15, 20 years. In about 15, 20 years, I'm pretty sure this will end up happening to you. God, this happened to me. When I was about to turn 50, I started having all these wild dreams. And from different time slots of my life, from when I was a kid to when I was a teenager to in my 20s, 30s, 40s, and these different conversations. And as far as I can tell, those conversations were accurate from that time, as if my memory was complete. But the difference in how I saw what was going on or heard or how I related to it, because now I'm not a 15-year-old kid having this conversation. Now I'm a 50 or 49-year-old person listening to this conversation. And I can understand like something my father was telling me at
Uh-huh.
that time. And my perspective was different. And the same thing in my 20s and my 30s. And I kept having all these things happen. Like I couldn't understand what the heck was going on. And then I realized that, as I mature as a person or evolved, I don't know about mature, but evolved as a person, um, my perspective will change. So we don't see the same way when we're 15 to 25 to 35 and so on. We just don't. And my conclusion I got out of this, and I woke up one day like a epiphany had happened. And it was like, oh my gosh, 2/3 of my life has been spent. I have 1/3 left of being productive in my life. What have I learned from those first 2/3 so I can have a really awesome, productive final third of my life? And it changes. And all of a sudden goes, what can I get done today?
Hmm.
And then time becomes a vortex of like, whew, it's not stopping. Now, sometimes you're just going to sail, relax, take a day. All
Sure.
right. Other times you're on that treadmill and you're running like the Dickens. And sometimes, no, I don't feel like running today. I think we'll walk down and understand here, here, and here. It'll always be the experiences in which you had are it's like the fodder, the foundation, the bricks of your life. And it takes every day for every brick, but not every brick's going to be a cornerstone. So they create the foundation of the life that you have, and the cornerstones what happened. And now you're changing an angle, you go another way. And it's going to build, it's going to create this house of brick, of stone, of life and knowledge. And you're in a lucky spot. You get to watch the world evolve in such a great place because it's so rapid compared to when I was 34 to what's going on now. And then I thought it was light and fast. What you guys get is incredible.
Yeah.
What you're going to see in the next 60 years is going to be mind boggling. And you have this opportunity to speak and communicate and be involved with people and help them get going and move, which is a wonderful place to be in, which is going to open up your life of experiences and communication that's going to drive you to go do more. To all of a sudden, it's like, you know what? I'm tired of looking at pictures of Pompeii. I need to go see it. Let's go to Italy. I'm going to swim in the Blue Grotto. And which is one, by the way, Pompeii is really cool. Go. It's amazing. The artwork's fantastic. But and the Blue Grotto, go get in it. Go see what does the sand feel like on your feet, in Spain. Yeah, whatever. But life is meant to be lived. And you're in an incredible situation to where you get to grow with this life. And you've got a 5 year of this. You've gone through the being knocked down and starting from ground zero, basically, and being built back up. And you've chosen to allow yourself to be built back up in God's image and allowing yourself to be a part of his world and him in your world. Your life's golden. You're going to have a lot of ups and downs, but you're going to have a lot of fun.
I I know I'm on the right path because at a certain, I don't know what point, at a certain maybe in your 20s. Yeah, I'd say maybe as early as like college, you start the seductive pull of nostalgia. You start looking back on, oh, it was so fun back then. And you can still be grateful you can still be grateful for the current day. Be like, man, but I would give anything to just go back to high school or college for a day. It's starting out the show in 2019 at 29. Every year since then, it's a phenomenon I've never had in my life of where I don't look back and go, I wish I could do that again because I'm enjoying the current one so much. I go, this year was great. And then the next year I go, it's even better. So it's not like I dislike the past. I'm at a point where every year is as exciting as when I was like 10. Like, what's it gonna be like to go to high school? What's it gonna be like to get my license? Like, I have that with the show. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a wild thing I have where I would not redo a single year of this podcast. Not because it hasn't been enjoyable, because I'm like, now this year's even cooler.
Mm-hmm.
It's even more fun. It's got a bigger reach. It's making more money. I have cooler guests. I'm more confident in it. Whatever. That's how I feel like I know I'm in the right thing is that I'm not a really, really good movie or like a great party. You're not like, man, you remember that party last weekend? No, you're like when you're at like a college, when you're like 21, you're at a party with your buddies and you're just it's the funniest thing, it's just, you're laughing, you're all just shit faced. Like no party use like, man, remember last spring break? You're in that party. When you're in a really good movie,
Mm-hmm.
no party is like, remember when the first part of the trilogy came? You are so sucked into it because it's here and it's now. That's I have that with the podcast, and it still have all the ups and downs and all that shit. But like, that's how I feel like I know I'm doing the right thing for me is because I actually am like looking forward to every succeeding year. Like, what? I wonder what's coming next. It's terrifying. Um, but for right now, we're gonna wrap this up. You're gonna run for officer, and I think you should think about it, man. And if you don't want
Yeah.
to, you don't have to. But
I'm not saying a no. I'm not saying yes. I'm saying all right. Now
yeah, think about it.
I gotta figure out what I gotta do. Hey, can I do a plug for my
Yeah,
event?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hey guys, first Tommy, thank you so much for this. What a blast hanging out with you. Um,
Told you it was fun.
yeah, it is. Guys, I when it comes to this event coming up in Colorado, they're really hitting me heavy on extra pricing. They're throwing a $10,000 vig on top of the average cost of a show. I mean, you got the band, you got the portos, you've got the insurance, you've got the location. All those things are part of the mix. In this particular place, we have to put a double fence up because we've enabled so many people for so long have such poor behavior that in order for us to go out and celebrate our men and women law enforcement, we got to put a double fence up. That's not a cool thing. What's at stake? Not just the men and women in law enforcement, but it is the historical rights of ever coming back to Denver in the downtown Denver again. I have historical rights. We can actually build this out for a 2 day show if we wanted to. Then we really can do that and put something in the middle of a woke city. They wouldn't like it, but we have the ability to do that legally. We can go forward. If I don't do the event for any reason, and it can only be act of God at this point, I'll lose that opportunity. So I need help raising some money for the fence. It's 10,000 extra dollars. I pay for all of these things myself, and I don't have a Dutch uncle. So if you guys could please go to Pro Police Rally Colorado, hit the donation page, pick up a T-shirt, I really would appreciate it. And I think what we're doing here is important, and we don't want to take 10 years and just toss it out the window. And we want to build from here. And I'd like to get to a point where we're raising money to help facilitate psychiatric help for these guys. Give them someone to talk to. If the city wants to pull that away, we as the citizens must give it right back to our men and women that are putting their boots on the ground in our city every single day. I can be reached at propolicerally.com, pprco.org, or Facebook, Pro Police Rally Colorado. And if you want to hit my Google line, you can, 720-446-6823. I really appreciate your help. And then, gosh, Tommy, thank you so, so much.
Yeah. Send me like a single message or email with all those links and I'll just copy and paste them and put them right in the description.
Okay. I'll send you a text after the show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, dude, let's do it again. Don't be a stranger. It'll be up tomorrow and I'll text you. And
Okay. Can you send me a link so I can throw it out there for as many people as possible?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I noticed you're on Getter, or was it Getter or was it Rumble?
Rumble's the video play. Getter's like kind of like a Twitter. Rumble's the primary place where the show is.
I'm learning. There's so much social media stuff. I get so
Yeah,
busy doing
I don't
stuff.
know what I'm doing. I'm 34. I have
Uh,
no idea what I'm doing.
is that when you send a link? Is that something I can throw up on a Facebook thing as well?
Yeah, just copy and paste it.
Okay, I may have
Yeah.
to ask you to tell me how to do it.
No,
I
you're
am
fine.
that slow.
Dude, I have no idea what I'm doing. Yeah, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. Um, yeah, no, no, I'll help you out. But yeah, that will be tomorrow. And send me a text. I'll copy and paste all that stuff. I'll put it in the description for everybody listening. You can go and
Okay.
do all that stuff.
Hey,
Yeah.
Tommy,
Yes, sir.
what an absolute blast hanging out with you today.
Thank you,
Thank
man.
you.
That's how I know I do it right.
And I may run someday. I thought about it in the
Yeah.
past. I don't know
Yeah,
about
dude,
the
who
future.
cares? Yeah, it doesn't it works, it works. It doesn't work, it doesn't work.
I mean,
Whatever.
the county that I live in right now, it's got less than 2,500 people in it.
Listen, if it works or if it doesn't work, you're still gonna die. Oh, I
Eventually,
look at the
someday.
podcast. I'm like, either it becomes the biggest in the world or I die in the process. Whatever. It's still a gravestone. What do I care? Go for it. Legitimately, like it's not just like an empty statement. I mean, legitimately, what do you have to lose?
Okay, this
Nothing.
is
Nothing.
you.
Zero.
Do you really want to live forever?
Yeah.
Do you want to know
What?
how? Do you want to live forever? Do you
Not
want to know how?
not particular. I feel like it's probably coming with like nanotechnology and
No,
genomics. I
no,
don't
no.
want to. I don't.
I don't mean that way. Do you know what
Yeah.
Shakespeare said about living forever?
No.
Sonnet 17. He said, "Who would believe my verse in time to come, if it were filled with your most high deserts? Though heaven knows it is but a tomb which hides your life and shows not half your parts. If I could number all of your graces, the age to come would say, this poet lies. Such heavenly touches near touch earthly faces. So should my papers, yellowed with their age, be scorned of less truth and tongue, than your true rights determine a poet's rage. But were a child of yours alive at this time, you shall live twice, in it and in my rhyme. Your heritage, your lineage, your grandparents that you talk about, your uncles, your mom, your dad, eventually someday, if you get blessed, your children, that's your ever, that's your forever. That's not who built the pyramids. It's that's your lineage. That's forever. And that's from William Shakespeare.
I like
Neat.
it.
Sonnet 17.
I like
All
it.
right. All right, brother. I'll
We'll wrap it up. I'll text you. Text me all those links right now, and I'll get that going. And yeah, dude, love to have you again sometime.
all right, man. Thank you.
No
Talk to
problem,
you
man.
soon.
Thank
All
you,
right.
guys.